Okay. Okay, so here's my little intro for the recording, just so we don't forget. So today we're doing a mini mastermind round with Ashley and Jennifer. Ashley will go first, and then I will give feedback followed by Jen, and then we will switch and Jennifer will present her ask. Ashley will give feedback first and then me. I will remind us of the order as we go through. I'll also be keeping time. If any of you have any questions as we go along, don't hesitate to stop and ask. But with that, Ashley, I'm going to start the clock. You have 5 minutes. Take your time. Tell us about yourself, what you're working on, and tell us what you would like some help with today.
All righty. Well, it's great to be with you both today. My name is Ashley, and I'm an artist, and I live in Belmar, New Jersey. So that's kind of where this all starts. So rewind a little bit. I actually lived in the city for many, many years with my husband until the pandemic. So at that point, we had a 1 year old. We were living in one room, and there was construction going on all around us, and it was nuts. So just picture this. We were kind of these people, like, we're city people. We have a city life. We're never going to change it. Here we are. Our child's going to go to a city school. And then everything changed. So I was going nuts and I needed to get out of that, very loud situation. And I found a winter rental on the Jersey Shore. So we packed up, we moved to Belmar. Our son was still really little. I was with him full time. And as soon as we got here, I started to notice that, first of all, everybody's retired here. So I didn't have many people in my peer group, but I started to notice, like, what's everybody doing here? And they were all looking for sea glass, which I thought, I've never heard of that. It's really interesting. So I started to get in on this trend of looking for sea glass and beach combing, and I got so enthralled with it and so interested in it that I actually shifted my business. So prior to that, I was a children's book illustrator. I did freelance work. I taught art lessons. And then when we got here, I shifted into making art with sea glass. And I tried a few pieces at the end of 2021. They did very well. So in January 2022, I started an online store. And now I'm represented in 20 stores nationwide, and I sell consistently online. I do events, but mostly the majority of my sales are online and wholesale. Um, and my ask today is, I gained a loyal following of people in our area specifically, and I focused on that the last 2 years, and it's been lovely. But now I've saturated that group of people, and I'm realizing that I need to break out and expand. So I'm a little bit stuck because I know that I need to be doing more PR and more marketing and less social, but I'm a little bit at this point where I don't know how to move into that direction. So that's kind of my story and where I'm at right now.
Okay, that's awesome. So just to clarify your ask, are you looking for ways to like ideas of how to move into PR and marketing specifically, or is it that specific, or is it a little bit broad
Um,
in terms of,
I'm getting, I'm kind of getting a gut feeling that social media is changing a lot, and it's kind of a pay to play thing. I mean, when I started Sook and Hook, I got a lot of engagement. I had a lot of people sharing my content. I had a lot of people ordering right on Instagram and Facebook, and I never kind of stopped to think about it because it was a flow. And then I noticed the last 6 months things really slowed down, and I realized it's because I wasn't doing ads, I wasn't paying to promote posts. And then I was like, oh no, like a lot of my business is changing. I'm not sure how to go with it. And Etsy, actually, I was doing very well on that platform, and that platform is changing as well. A lot of people are leaving for various reasons. And so a third of my income left with that. So now I'm thinking, okay, I have this really cool product, but there's so many people. I'm really targeting coastal communities. So it doesn't have to be New Jersey, it can be California, it can be Maine, anywhere that has a beach is kind of my target audience. So I'm just kind of stuck with how can I creatively get out there more without only relying on social media?
Okay. All right, that's great. Okay, I'm just gonna set the timer so I don't go over. Okay, so here are just a few ideas that popped into my mind as you were talking, and I took a few notes. Again, take this for what it is. If it keep it or throw it out, right? This also might spark a totally different idea. So one thing that stood out to me that I caught on to is you mentioned that you used to teach art before you started this business. So
Yes.
the idea of like having some sort of like any ways that you could get out there and teach again, I to me, I was like, oh, maybe that could, reach another local, maybe it's online or maybe it's local, but could there be a creative way to blend your history and teaching that also combines your current business as well, right? Maybe it's not teaching exactly what you taught before, but is there a way to combine the sea glass and teaching? Like, is it tutorials? Is it looking for sea glass on the beach? Is it, and I know that that's a different business model than being online, but I'm wondering, especially as the weather is getting nicer, could there be some creative ways to re-engage, the local community or the community that you already have following you online, right? Things that might be shareable. I follow you online and this would be more of a social media strategy, but are there little tutorials that you could do too that maybe that is a higher engagement thing? That was one idea. The other thing that okay, two other things. One is I feel like the current customers you already have probably are also your biggest advocates, right? Is there a way to engage them either through a referral or, like a gift that you send them or something like that, or a percentage off coupon that they can share with someone else, right? Like, is there a way to leverage the people who are already your top customers, right? And I don't know how you have them categorized, right? Maybe you have top customers. I don't know if they're grouped differently, right? The people who are always buying from you, is there a gift that you can give them that they can also give someone else, right? Because they're
Okay.
the people that are already your followers and already your supporters. So is there a way to engage them? And maybe it's a time bound thing, right? To create urgency. Like you've got Mother's Day coming up, you've got Memorial Day coming up. Are there things that you can do around then that is a gift for them, but also time bound to kind of drive that urgency? Um, and then the other thing, when you said coastal communities, like, I don't know, and I don't know how hard this would be, but is there a way to do like specific coastal collections? Again, I don't know if that's too much work, right? But like could you do a Maine collection or a Cape Cod collection or a Jersey Shore collection or a Florida collection? I don't know where your customers are, but since you are nationwide, is that something that might also make those particular products stand out to either new people, right? Or re-engage the people that you have because they're more specific and they're like specific to a location. Um,
Okay.
those were just a few ideas. I'm almost at my 4 minute time, so I'm gonna stop now. And then Jennifer, when you're ready, I'm gonna start the clock for you for any feedback that you're able to offer Ashley.
I feel like I don't have much feedback, and you're in a totally different realm than where I am in terms of business. But when Catherine was talking, it was making me think about. I just saw a documentary on CNN about Martha Stewart. Have you seen this
I
documentary?
wanted to see it. I haven't seen it yet.
And
Okay.
like as Catherine was talking about the teaching piece, it was making me think like how she incorporated the media aspect of her business really was the launching pad for her. And she just had a really interesting approach to how
Yeah.
she got out into the world. Um, Whether good, bad, but she still had a really interesting business approach. So that kind of, if you're interested in documentaries and, you
I
know,
gotta see it. I would love to see that. Okay.
it's a really well done, and it's like 4 parts. You can watch it in like little chunks too, which is nice.
Okay.
That, but I was curious, like your pieces, are they jewelry? Are they art? I didn't have a good concept of like what your pieces actually are.
So they're all home decor. So
Okay.
they started as very small, like 4 by 6 pieces, because the glass is so tiny, it's kind of delicate. And then I had clients that wanted larger pieces. So I also do like large watercolors and paintings. So I would say the sea glass is the unique part, but I really am a coastal decor artist. So everything falls within, that niche pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm curious, what did you do previously when you were an illustrator and an art teacher? Like, how did you get the word out? And maybe it stayed pretty local. I don't know if it went bigger, but how did you kind of connect with people around your products then?
Well, right before we moved here, we actually lived in an artist community in Jersey City. So we were in a warehouse with all artists, and it was fabulous because I was very involved and I used to do art fairs there. And there were so many, it was so condensed. So it was very easy to get clients. And there's a lot of parents there that want specialized classes. So I actually went to the homes and the apartments of all the kids. That was my day. It was just going physically to everyone's home and teaching them privately. And it's easier because everything's all close together. But
Yeah.
out here on the shore, it's a very different setup. So it's harder to wrangle everybody together.
Yeah. And it sounds like you're really moving from kind of like this community based work to
Yep.
something that's like nationwide and a product and but still
Yes.
really
Yeah.
unique. So, ooh, yeah, it's like how do
Well, that's
you
great. I love that idea because I actually really wanted to see that documentary, and I love that Martha Stewart markets herself as a teacher. Like first and foremost, I feel like she always emphasizes that. So I think that's a great idea.
is that an identity that feels really core to what you offer? Or is the
Yes, it
artist?
is, and it is. I love to teach. I love that concept. So it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so I think people are craving that right now of like, how do I just joined this peaceful painting club. And like she just has like classes. She just says, okay, Wednesday wind down. And you go online and you just watercolor. She's not even on the camera. Like, and it's like so satisfying. And like they're like 15 minutes long. She has longer things, but I could
Perfect.
see, like that coastal vibe. I'm from Southern California, so like I totally get the coastal vibe as a thing, right? And it's like people want it. And if you've had any taste of it and you love it, like you want more and more of it. So I'm wondering of ways that you can infuse that as part of the larger picture of what you're offering people, not just the beautiful artwork, but the beautiful experience.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. That's a great idea.
That was awesome. Ashley, take a minute if there's any reflections or next steps that you want to state for yourself after hearing this feedback. If not, that's okay too, but you have another minute to kind of wrap up your round.
Well, I actually started really going into my YouTube channel the last couple weeks and really getting totally immersed in that. And I'm picking up, a lot of followers and engagement, and I'm seeing a huge potential. So what you both said is wonderful because it really parlays into that, online classes, teaching. And I actually coined like an aesthetic for myself, which is coastal whimsy because everything that I do is coastal, but it's very whimsical. It's not generic. It's more like it's cute, but it's whimsical. So you're speaking my language. Everything you said kind of like plays into what I'm thinking. So it's very helpful. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Actually, that's your
Hashtag
Instagram.
coastal whimsy.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, awesome. All right, so we're gonna move on. So Jennifer, when you're ready, I will start the clock. 5 minutes. Tell us about you, your background, present your ask.
So I started my private counseling practice. I'm an art therapist and a counselor, and I started my private practice January 2022. So it's still relatively new. Before that, I was an employee. I most recently was in Jersey City schools, so I have that Jersey City connection. So I was doing art therapy services in Jersey City schools and got fed up and left. So in the middle of the year. So having my own business is a relatively new experience for me. The counseling, there's a high need for counseling. I see people in Spring Lake Heights. So there's a really big need for kids and for therapists for kids. So I've been able to stay relatively the size of fullness that I've wanted with my private practice. I don't want to work more hours in my private practice than I already do. Um, and so what I want to do is have a second source of income, or however many, that will allow me to take days off. So I'm at the point where, like, I feel like I understand the rhythms of the practice. I know that I don't really want to get bigger. I don't want to have a group practice, none of that stuff. Um, I've always created things. I've always created content. My background is education also. So curriculum, that kind of stuff. I have so much stuff that I've created. And so I want to figure out a way to transform that into this other source of income so that I can take vacations and save money and all those kinds of things. Some, because the practice is going to have it's going to have a cap, and it's going to have some limits to it in the way that I'm conceptualizing it at this moment in time. So my ask right now is I am really good at coming up with solutions in the moment, but I've struggled to kind of figure out the overarching picture of what my business is going to be. And I have a lot of different ideas, but I think for me, the next step is like, how do I build momentum I'm finding the local community has been a really good way for me to kind of I'm starting to get that local community piece. And then I've also moved around a ton. So like that's a really weird thing for me to be like, this is the local community. Of course I'm going to cultivate that. But to cultivate that momentum, and also kind of just think about like next steps as I get like bigger, what could that bigger look like? It's hard for me to figure out what people actually want. Like when you have having a smaller audience, I figure I feel like I can't get my hands on what people actually need or want. I don't get a lot of like engagement. So that's where I feel like I'm like kind of floating around with like how to just kind of build momentum and build community. And I've always gone big, like social media stuff. And so now I'm finding that local has been really lovely. And yeah, so my ask is around kind of building momentum around engagement and gathering information from people about what they want.
And just to clarify, is this how to build momentum on your side project? Is that what you're looking for help with? And is there a specific side project you have in mind, or is it any?
So I have I have a lot of different ones. I would say that kind of the three core things that have kind of I've always wanted to create a good membership resource library for my current clients and for anybody who couldn't access counseling, and like the bigger picture of like sometimes counseling isn't what's needed, but there's like just information or coaching or community. So that's I see that as like a virtual kind of experience. I've had a teachers pay teachers store for a few years. It doesn't make any money, but it's like an Etsy platform for teachers. So I have curriculum stuff on there. So I could get deep into like really growing that. And the other one is I do these parent-child art groups so that's another kind of like I have to be the person doing it, but it's also really replicable. I have a curriculum. I have like a social emotional learning art-based curriculum. So I have some curriculums that could be replicated by other people. So, but none of them have ever kind of gotten legs enough. And I haven't figured out how to like really focus in and decide. So
Okay, got it. Wonderful. Thank you. I apologize. I didn't restate the order before you went, Jennifer, but Ashley, this time you have an opportunity to give feedback first, and then I will follow up and go second this time. So whenever you're ready, any ideas or feedback for Jennifer, you can go ahead.
Okay, Jennifer, it's funny that you said teachers pay teachers because I wrote that down first. I thought, oh, that's a great platform. Have you ever thought about writing a book on the topic? I mean, it seems like I know that's not a fast way for income, but I feel like there's so much there and it's a topic that's so needed. I mean, that's just the first thing that really popped into my head that this is an excellent topic for a book and it would be very helpful for parents. And I also, the other thing that popped into my head is I feel like your main advocates with this are not even parents, but other educators. I don't know if you have a Facebook group already that you started around this topic, but I feel like this is an excellent topic to start and to invite, other educators into it, whether it be teachers or librarians or school psychologists. I just feel like not only could you get, excellent input from them, but just to spread, more about what you do, it would just be a great way to get feedback. So that's the Facebook group. I really have a strong feeling that would be very helpful. The book, and then as you said, like a resource library, something like that that's very specific to what you do, I think would be very beneficial. So when you're going for clients right now, are you approaching parents? Is that really who you look for?
It's been a mixed bag, and
Okay.
I haven't really actively sought out clients because I always still struggle with like, what's the thing? Like I'm good at responding to like if someone says, if a school district says, "Oh, can you come in and train our art teachers on how to work with
Right.
special education students?" Like I'm like, great. And then I've got this whole now curriculum that I've written, but I don't know how to like replicate it or pitch it to other places really successfully. And I sometimes I don't I'm like, is this even the thing? Like
I see. So it's not just parents, you're actually approaching schools and school districts and
I'm
okay, so
willing
it's
to
a
do
little bit
that.
it's a little broader. Okay. I still think there's just something so like a community driven focus there. Like even just speaking about myself and looking for my son online, it's such a concentrated community. When people want recommendations, I guess that would be very important too for the clients that you've had in the past to give recommendations publicly in a place like Facebook. I think parents really take that seriously. I mean, I know I do. So that's just what popped into my head.
And you found that Facebook is like, is that the your go-to as a parent?
I mean, honestly, like I'll just say, like for the pediatrician that we have for my son, for the school. I mean, even, Catherine and I have talked about it too, about school districts and questions. Um, I think parents feel safe on Facebook for some reason, especially talking to other moms, specifically. I find a lot of the groups I'm in is mostly female driven, but I was a teacher as well. I worked in Montessori schools teaching art, and I find to this day, like that community that I built, they're just so fabulous. They try to help me and give me suggestions. So between the mom community and the educator community, I feel like you would get a big boost and a lot of support from that.
Awesome. Okay, Jennifer, okay, so where my mind was going, similar to what Ashley was saying, but I was really keeping in mind, like, how do I build something that will allow me to actually take a step back, right? Like, because there's many things that you could build that is going to require more time and energy than what you want to give. So, and perhaps likely at the beginning of building this, you're going to have to put in more time so that you can get the benefit of being able to work less on the back end. But what really struck me is like you already have a full practice, right? And you have clients, maybe they're in these different spheres. You've got some schools, some parents. What would it be like if you made some of those, so the curriculum you mentioned, like you already have curriculum written. What if it looked like if someone reached out to you, like what if there's a paid curriculum that they could buy? Right? So like you have the curriculum written, like what if that becomes something that they can buy? Right? And I don't know what it looks like. Maybe it's a course, maybe it's just all the resources that they would need that they could hand out to their teachers or that parents could use at home. And then working with you is like the next step up, right? So I'm imagining a school reaches out to you, hey, Jennifer, we're interested in your art therapy. You can say, great, like I have this curriculum for $500. I don't know, I'm just pulling that out of nowhere. Or I can come in and I can teach it to and educate all of your teachers, and that's going to cost $2,000, just as an example, right? But what would it look like to codify the curriculum that you've already taught? Right, you've already done it, or as you continue to do it, you're doing the work, right? And then is there a way to sell that, either one-offs, right, having them as things that you can just buy in your, from your website, or is it a membership, right? There's probably pros and cons to both. And then you become the premium product, right? So you're working one-on-one with the clients that you really want to, right? Or the clients that make sense, but it allows you to maybe be more selective on who it is that you work with. And then if people are buying those products, like this amazing, robust curriculum that you've used at other places that has been proven, right? You could get testimonials from all these places. Is that a way that you can then have that kind of running as the engine, right? But you don't actually have to be the one delivering it. So that was where my mind went. And maybe there's a way to do it where you have resources for different people, right? Because you've got the teachers, you've got the parents, you've got the school psychologists. Like it sounds like there's a common thread to all of these things, right? It's perhaps just different flavors of the same curriculum, depending on who you're talking to and depending on who's delivering it. So that was my idea. It's just like, if you're already living it, if you're kind of doubling down on what you already know works, is there just another way that you can package it and deliver it and charge for it so that it will buy back a little bit of your time? And then I didn't miss the part at the beginning. You said like you love creating things, then maybe you just let the creating things be the fun creating things on the side that you allow yourself to just jump from, right? Oh, I want to create this today, or I want to create that today. But but then you're not pressured with how do I gain momentum? Because it sounds like you already have great momentum with your private practice. So that was where my mind went as you were talking. So again, take it or leave it. I'll stop talking now and give you the floor for another minute or so if there's any reflections or things that you want to state for yourself.
These were all really, really helpful ideas. And I feel like as you're both talking, I'm thinking, I really struggle with who's my customer, so that I can really, because it's just me. So it's like, how can I really make use of my time the best way possible? So I think I have some more work to kind of do on figuring that piece out of like who is the person I'm focusing on right now, and tailoring that those reach. And I need to get more numbers. Like I've had like one experience here, so I just don't have like the testimonials and the momentum going. So I think I'm going to spend some time thinking about where my energy is feeling really drawn and pulled towards, like right just initially towards moms, and supporting moms that are parenting because it's a hard job. Um, so I'm going to give some more thought to that. And a book has always been on the top of my list, Ashley. I just haven't had the focus.
I know it's not easy, but it would be great.
Yeah. Yeah. I always start things and then I'm like, oh, and then I start working on other things. So that was interesting that was the first thing that came up too. Because that feels like that's in alignment with how I think and where my energies are and things like that. So
Awesome.
thank you.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much. I'll stop recording now, but I just want to say thank you. While this is recorded, if it ends up getting shared more widely, Actually, why don't you, and if this does end up getting posted anywhere, which I will let you know, can you restate your business names and where people can find out more about you? I should have done this at the beginning, but we'll do it now. Ashley, go ahead and start, and then Jennifer will go to you.
Sure, you can find me at sookandhook.com or on all social media at Sook and Hook.
My counseling practice is Jennifer Lawrence Art Therapy. You can just Google that, the website will come up. And then I'm on Instagram at Mindful Messes Art Therapy.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'm just going to stop the recording.